Hey.
Alright, you're a videographer and you've either filmed a couple of weddings or you're about to film your first one. And you want to be able to recreate something that looks like this. Well, in this video, I'm going to give you some of the advice that I got from industry-leading wedding filmmakers that helped me take my wedding videos from looking like this to looking like this. This video will also include how I was able to go from no bookings and filming videos for cheap or sometimes even free into being able to quit my job to become a full-time videographer. I'm going to break down the equipment you'll need, how I network with vendors to get more bookings, how I film weddings, how I edit weddings, and how I price weddings. That's 5 things. When it comes down to equipment for filming weddings, there's a wide spectrum between the bare minimum that you need to film a wedding and the elaborate pieces of equipment that will enhance your wedding video into a wedding film. If you want to start with the bare minimum, I suggest a nice entry-level camera that can at bare minimum shoot 1080p up to 60 frames per second. The reason I say this is because everything that happens at a wedding happens one time, just that once, and if you film it in 60 frames per second, you could slow it down to 40%, and that'll give it a nice cinematic feel, and it'll also elongate a couple scenes, which will allow the bride and groom to be able to appreciate those little moments a little bit more, and not gonna lie bro, it'll help you fill out some time in your edit. This is an entry-level DSLR, it's a Canon SL3. I filmed my first 2 or 3 weddings with this camera. I also used this super cheap 50mm lens, and I put it on this super cheap gimbal that I got on Facebook Marketplace for like $100. I also topped it with this off-brand microphone. By the way, I also got the camera on Facebook Marketplace for like $100, so the whole setup was probably like $200 or $300. Here's a clip of what that first little setup was able to film. And if you want to see the whole thing, I have that wedding video uploaded here on my channel. I have a whole playlist of a bunch of stuff for you to check out after you finish watching this video. It'll give you good inspiration. This video right here was the first wedding that I filmed and edited completely alone, and it was completely torn apart by my mentors. By the way, if you're a film nerd, I know you recognize these guys from either Runaway Vows or Full-Time Filmmaker. They actually made me a challenge that if I get to 10,000 subscribers before 2024 is over, they'll do a video with me. Just saying. One of the things I struggled with in the beginning was having nice stable footage. At this point, I've filmed a little over 30 weddings, and for the first 15 to 20, I filmed them entirely on gimbals. I've since then is shooting them almost entirely handheld. That's just an artistic preference. I think that using a gimbal or going handheld or even using a monopod is a case-by-case basis. When you get to know your bride and groom, you'll have an idea of what kind of video will best fit their needs. From there, you should make your production choices. That being said, the equipment that I personally use right now is this Canon R8 with a 24-70 2.8. I rig it up with this top handle, this side handle, this Rode microphone, and this monitor. I also sometimes throw it on a monopod. I film ceremonies with 3 different cameras. I keep my main camera on the monopod so that it can be as steady as the other ones. But before upgrading cameras, something that I think is probably the most important thing, and pay attention to this, audio is half the viewing experience. I'm gonna say that one more time. Audio is half the viewing experience. Not gonna lie, you can get away with subpar visuals, but everyone and their grandma will immediately be able to tell when audio is bad.
Hey, Brooke and Garrett. Just because you're married today and you're now Mrs. Lynch, you'll always be my baby girl. I love you. Happy birthday. Garrett, no give backs.
For that reason, you don't want to get all of your audio from your on-camera Rode microphone during a wedding. Personally, I capture audio with a mix of this Tascam DR40 that I plug into soundboards and DJ boards so that I can get ceremonies and speeches. Outside of that, sometimes a bride and a groom want to do their vows during the first look or something like that. So that's when I use this bad boy, the Rode Wireless. That's my guy right there. These nifty little things capture great audio, and you can hide it behind a tie or on the back of a bride's necklace. Your photographer will thank you because your bride does not want to see these on any photos. However, all of this knowledge about wedding video equipment won't help you out if you can't book a darn wedding. In the beginning, bookings were a struggle. My main booking method was commenting on Facebook wedding groups. I'm willing to bet that you do that. I'm not saying stop it, but how is that working for you? Because it wasn't working for me personally. Much to the chagrin of videographers, we're pretty much, in most cases, the last vendor that a bride has in mind. So there's a couple things that you could do. You could pay a service like the Knot or Wedding Wire to advertise you and your services.
Okay, so I'm editing the video right now, and I wanted to get some B-roll of the knot, and I just noticed this. Check this out.
When you look at vendors,
Videographers are literally the bottom of the list.
Or even better, hear me out on this one, and these kids gave me the advice, and it's to get in the good graces with other vendors, most significantly planners, because brides go to planners to have their wedding planned.
We have Axel right here taking video, so that kind of reaction is really great for video.
And they suggest all the vendors. So if you get in good with some planners, they'll suggest you to brides. I recommend networking events. Look at me. That was the worst suit ever. The next vendor to get in good with is gonna be photographers. No one will ever have a wedding without a photographer. A cool trick I use to get in good with vendors is just shooting them some behind the scenes content. Whenever you're working with a photographer or a planner, if you just shoot them some BTS and you're a complete pleasure to work with, then you're not only benefiting the bride, but also your other fellow vendors. That's how you build a relationship and establish some connections. By the way, my girlfriend said that I use my hands too much when I do these videos. Comment and let me know if I should stop. Merry Christmas. The last vendor that I recommend getting good with, and this is the most important in my personal experience, this one's gonna be DJs. When I first started taking wedding filmmaking seriously, I started working with this DJ. This is by far the greatest DJ in the entire state of Iowa and potentially the Midwest. Shout out Clive DJ Company if you're in the Midwest or in Iowa or anywhere near us and you need a DJ, this is the guy, this is the one for you. This guy has single-handedly put me at most of the weddings I've been to. And creating partnerships with vendors will do the same for you. The best advice I can give you to build a good relationship with the other vendors is don't only shoot them that behind the scenes content, edit them a freaking Instagram reel or TikTok. Everyone wants to grow on social media, and people like you and me produce the best content available, so help them out. Sincerely. Now that you have an idea of the kind of equipment you need and how to book a couple weddings, you need to know how to film a wedding, right? I believe that there's only two types of ways to film a wedding. Hear me out. Although all weddings are unique in their own way, a lot of them follow the same itinerary that goes as this. Bride and groom arrive, they get ready in their own suites, then they have their first look, then they do shots with the bridal party, and sometimes they do shots with the bridal party. Ayo! Then they have their ceremony, they sign their marriage license, they do shots with family, the occasional party bus, then the grand entrance, speeches. I love speeches because they're the main type of audio that I use in my wedding videos, you'll see. And finally, my favorite thing at weddings, the partying. If you haven't really filmed a wedding yet, a pretty good rule of thumb that I have is just stay near the bride. Nothing important on a wedding day happens without the bride. Generally knowing how the wedding day is gonna go, you could just film it as it happens, put it together, and they'll love it. But a way to get artsy about it, you could do a little bit of research on the bride and groom or just ask them some questions during the booking call. And you could pull up to the wedding day with some cool ideas. Check this out. So for this wedding, when I had my booking call with this couple, the bride told me that the groom is a pickleball instructor. So I'm thinking, how cool would it be if I pull up with a couple paddles and a ball and surprise them with that during golden hour? So you bet your sweet bottom I did that, and I got some of the best shots I've ever gotten at a wedding. To be fair, if you're not a creative person, you can get away with just filming the day as it happens if you edit it correctly. Now, I could sit here and run you through my entire editing workflow, but I think you'd be better benefited from a couple key rules I have. I'm gonna play a short clip and then we're gonna break it down.
We are truly just so grateful, each and every one of you that have made this day so special.
All right, I want to thank everybody for coming here today also. It's been a great day so far. It's gone very, very fast. I just hope I remember everything because it's been awesome.
Okay, that was a little chunk of something I made, and I'm gonna point some things out. The first thing is the color grading. Look at how those colors popped. If you're not the best at color grading, I have a free LUT that you can download. It's in the description. The next was incorporating the speeches into that video. In most cases, the maid of honor has been anxiously stressing about what she's gonna say here for weeks. And the best man has been Googling what to say for the last 15 minutes.
You guys didn't know, ladies, I am single.
You want to have both of those things in the wedding video. That's not just something that the bride and groom are looking forward to seeing in 3 months when they get their wedding video. That's something they want to see in 30 years when they're reminiscing on the best day of their lives. I want you to notice that you could hear both the speeches and the song without them interfering with each other. You want to peak speaking at -6 and music at -10. That way they don't distract from one another. Now, I gotta give you some props because in the last 6 minutes, you've learned what you need to film a wedding, you've learned how to book a wedding, you've learned how to film a wedding, and you've learned how to edit a wedding. But I know what you're thinking, that's all cool, but how do I price myself? When I was first getting started, I would just throw out some number to the bride based on how long I was gonna be at her wedding or how long of a video she wanted. I just didn't know exactly what I was doing. After some more light bullying from these two, I came to my senses. Now I personally do something that you'll see the highest level of wedding filmmakers do, which is having a package system. Now I don't want to show mine in specific because I don't trust that you won't screenshot it and use it as your own. So here's an example one from Canva that we're going to go off. Let's say that you have 3 packages, and an example of one package is it's $2,000. You're going to be at this wedding for 8 hours, and the deliverables are a 45-second teaser and a 5-minute wedding film. Make 3 tiers. Start one with like 6 hours, one with 8 hours, one with 10 hours, and just add whatever you think fits you best. And a nice little something to go along with those packages is having a little list of add-ons. You could tell your bride, hey, how would you like just an edit of the ceremony or the first look or the first dance? Now I think you've earned yourself a cold beer because you can film, edit, book, and price a wedding. If you happen to be feeling philanthropic, I could really use a subscription. Spare a subscription. A subscription would really help me get some quality time with my father and stepdad so we can have a little video shootout. By the way, this video is part of a series called 10K by 2025. If you want to check that out, you could tap right here, and YouTube seems to think that you'll like whatever the heck this video is, and this little circle right here, if you give it a tap, it'll do the subscribing for you. Thanks for watching, big bro.